We're a go.
We're a go?
We're a go.
Hello, class! I'm very excited to welcome you to the Introduction to 100 Girlfriends for the summer semester. So, first of all, can I ask someone to be a teacher's assistant for me real quick? Come right up. Okay. So, first and foremost, I'd like you to pass around some reading materials for everybody. This was a required reading, but I'm a kind teacher, so I'm letting you pirate the books.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Why do you seem upset?
Are you gonna take these back when you're done?
No. These are for you. They're necessary for the class. And then as a reward for your kindness in being my TA, please hold on to that. Do not open it quite yet. And please return to your seat. Thank you.
I should have done it.
You should have done it, but you chose not to. So, now that we've got the required reading materials passed out for this class, the first volume of this manga, we're going to go ahead and move on to the next slide. I'm going to need someone to be on this. So, what is the 100 girlfriends who really, 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 really love you, or 100 girlfriends from here on out? Next slide. It's cinema is the answer. Only piece of unofficial art. I'm using this whole fucking slide, by the way. Moving on. So, that isn't helpful. It isn't at all, Zach. So, what it actually is it is a romance gag comedy series based around pushing the harem genre to its greatest extremes. And it follows our main character, Rentaro Aijo, in his quest to make his 100 soulmates the happiest they can be. The general appeal is the girls and their unique personalities and their interactions with each other and how it spends time they spend time both with Rentaro and between each other. So next slide, please. And the quick plot synopsis really is, due to a clerical error in filling out Rentaro's paperwork, Love God accidentally gives Rentaro 100 soulmates. Soulmates are people you are destined to fall in love with and be happy with forever, and they die horribly if that isn't the case. So, Rentaro decides that he must date all of these girls and ensure they are all the happiest on Earth in order to preserve their love and, lives.
On Earth.
Exactly. So, who made this peak? We actually have one of the rare double features. We have the writer, Rikito Nakamura, and the artist, Yukiko Nozawa. Nozawa Sensei gets a lot of the attention since she's the artist, and is, to my knowledge, the only good thing to come out of Attack on Titan. Because she said, Mikasa made me want to draw cute girls, and that changes the whole trajectory of my work. So she's the one who designs the characters and draws all the art for the manga, and avoids basing a lot of things off of manga specifically so that things continue to feel fresh even for manga readers. She has 3 previous works, all about 1 to 4 volumes, and then Rikito Nakamura primarily writes the dialogue and does the storyboards, and doesn't consider himself a very good artist. He is a very, these are some of their previous works. He is a very, I would consider it classic style, a gag manga style. I'm not the biggest on it, but I don't think he's a bad artist from everything I've seen. Let's see. He talks about in his feelings on writing that he is very quick to fall in love with his characters and feels that it's deeply necessary in order for you to be a good writer. It's also been stated by Nozawa that he is a type of writer that enjoys, if he's told that something is bad and to remove it, he decides that he wants to instead reframe it to make it more interesting for the readers instead, which I find to be an interesting dichotomy from how most of the manga industry works. And then he also has 4 previous works, all 1 to 3 volumes. Yes, you raise your...
I can see that girl's underwear.
Yes, Nozawa was a ecchi comedy writer before that. She loves drawing girls.
It comes with the territory.
Comes with the territory. God bless her. She is deeply necessary for this. Next slide, please. 100 Girlfriends is sincere. And I'm going to ask you to go ahead to the next slide. And I think sincerity is the core to 100 Girlfriends. So I, too, must be as sincere as I can possibly be.
Oh my God.
You may open your gift now, by the way. As my teacher's assistant. I think that when you're talking about 100 Girlfriends, a lot like Pink Floyd or Doug Walker, the nostalgia critic's The Wall, you inevitably reveal a part of yourself, no matter what that is. And I think that you cannot engage with this in complete sincerity. I think you have to engage with it in sincerity, or you can't engage with it at all after a certain point. So, we got some battle damage on this one. I kind of fucked it up, but I felt that it was more important to, like, have these be me trying my damnedest than them being done good.
I can't put this on without flashing everyone. I'm so sorry.
Do you want to show the camera?
Oh, yeah.
Well, I mean, I'm wearing one, too.
Okay, so exactly that.
Yeah,
That's
they're the
amazing.
same.
So, I think that, like I said, much like Pink Floyd's The Wall, you can't talk about 100 girlfriends without revealing a portion of your soul, and you can only be ironically interacting with this for so long before you are sincerely interacting with it. And I think that is like core to the experience of this, and why I think it's important for me to be sincere while I'm talking about it. Please on to the next slide, Mr. David. So before we go on to the rankings, we have some ground rules to establish. This is a discussion based upon my tastes and thoughts as of around chapter 216. I'd intended to read, it's actually 215. 216 wasn't out on like the site that I've been reading on, the very legal way I've been reading it. So these are all individual characters the manga cares about and spends time on both individually and with each other. We're also operating on Toho Girl rules. No matter how little screen time a girl has, I don't give a shit if she has one line of dialogue or 700. It is someone's favorite. No girl is truly terrible. As much as there are some that I just don't like as much as the others, I don't think any of these are like scraping the bottom of the barrel as far as it goes. And I think all of them do have their like cute and funny moments individually, but like going like, oh, she has a cute X chapter is going to be fucking annoying. So I need that to be an understood statement going in of I'm just not going to iterate that on every girl. I also think that we need to discuss this very important highlight. Morals are out the fucking window, and we're going to get there. This doesn't give a shit about the ethics of the dating and all that shit, so we won't either. We just need to accept it and move on. We will also be going in order of girls' introduction, and this manga gets fucking insane. Please, next slide. So we're going to go over some of like the wacky bullshit that does happen in this manga to like sort of give you a tone setter of like what the fuck we're doing here. So I think that chapter 200 through 202 do this better than I ever could, but we can't just skip there and do that. Basically, that's where we just go over a bunch of old gags with new girls. So we have some stuff like Marriage Berserkers, the Drinking Party chapter, My Beloved. Maybe the single funniest chapter in anything I've ever read. It's so fucking good. That's Big Cheese, the publishing business, by the way. Which I've also mentioned in the slide and I forgot. Let's see, we also have the baby chapters, which ends with, the most recent one was Everyone's a Baby for the End of Mommy Gellion. So we also have the Alien chapter, Kissing Zombies, and a consistent acknowledgement that, like, man, it is still spring, guys. As far as I'm aware, it's been April, the whole manga. Next slide, please. So the general structure of the story is actually pretty simple as well. We get a girlfriend's introduction, which we call the zing, because that's the sound effect they use. And then winning her over, which is usually about 1 to 2 chapters, which is usually capped off with an insane or grand gesture of some sort from Rentaro, our goat. We then get a chapter of the girl being introduced to the group with a themed activity around her shtick or gimmick, which is 1 to 2 chapters. Then we get a variable amount of time spending time with everybody. And then we have a little intermittent period where we get little single or small group dates. The girls hang out with each other. Merch shilling. I love the merch shilling chapters. They just, when they get merch out, they just go, we're going to do a whole chapter about this. We get no kickback. It's all for the love of the game. And I gotta be honest, I fucking love it. So we then also have big event chapters, which are 1 to 3, and that's stuff like we got stranded on a tropical island in the sky, hair taking over the world and we need to stop it. Stuff like that. Next slide, please. Except I've lied to you. Next slide. You've fallen headfirst, as always, into my chasm of tricks. Next slide, please. I will not be talking about the manga, The 100 Girlfriends, who really, really, really love you. I will be talking about the media franchise, The 100 Girlfriends, who really, really,
it's the
really
Blu-ray.
love you.
Oh my god. How much money did you spend?
Don't worry about that. I have notes. Don't worry.
My goodness.
So we're going to be talking about all this. Next slide, please. We'll be talking about everything. The manga, the light novel, the anime, not the mobile puzzle game. It's only available in Japan and I couldn't get my hands on it. As we will not be talking about, but there are recommended viewings of Nausicaa, the Valley of the Wind, and Castle in the Sky, because they love to fucking reference that all the fucking time. Fun fact, the reason Rentaro has 100 soulmates is because Love God wrote his Rotten Tomatoes score for Castle in the Sky on his rap sheet instead of his soulmate number. So that happens. So that's why he has 100. He thinks it's a perfect movie. Moving on. So, I think it's important to first start with my thoughts on the anime. Because I think that's how a lot of people are just generally aware of this. Oh, fucking man down. So, I think it's a very different experience from the manga. And I think the first episode especially, I liked a lot more after reading the manga. We do a lot of jokes about it being an anime adaptation in particular. Like, the last episode of season 2 is 2 of the girls going, hey, are we, okay to be here? We weren't here in the manga, for this one. And then they're like, this then gives one of the girls an existential crisis about the fact that these are memories that shouldn't exist because they aren't supposed to be there. We do a lot of things like that. I prefer the English dub, but it's on the caveat that you can deal with a lot of English slang in a official production, because they do say the words "Riz King" in this, and I'm like, we're here, fuck it. I'm game, I'm for it. I also think it would be remiss to talk about the dub without mentioning I think its biggest failing. It has a narrator that they use intermittently. His pussy isn't in it. His whole pussy is not in it. He is not the Kaguya narrator, but he wants to be. And I think that is a travesty that they don't let him fucking grip it and rip it. Because they do a bit of the next episode, the swimsuit episode, and you can tell they wanted this man to scream with his whole heart, and he did not. And that hurts my soul, because you should. In season 2, he does admittedly do a much better job of putting his whole pussy in it.
You hadn't watched any of the anime last week. You've seen...
To be fair, I've watched, for clarity's sake, I've watched all of season 1 and about half of season 2. I was going to finish up season 2 today, but I ended up being distracted by other necessities in my life. So, I've seen, I think, all but 4 episodes myself, so. Next slide, please. So, the light novel, I think it's a mixed bag. It is what I would consider a suboptimal way to experience 100 Girlfriends. But surprisingly, it works a lot better than I expected. In the first chapter, A Day in the Life of Rentaro, they do a bit, they don't explain the premise at all. They just go, here's a time, and the girl he's meeting, and it goes, this is Rentaro's girlfriend, this is also Rentaro's girlfriend, this is also Rentaro's girlfriend. I'm like, that's a solid enough bit. I think it's fine, but a very skippable piece of this media, even though, I did spend time reading it and money on it. Next slide, please. So, we're now going to talk about the girls, starting with the first girlfriend, Hikari, otherwise known as the horny girl. So, she is tied in first place for girlfriend spot number 1 with another girl, who you can also see on the cover of your reading materials. So, has a front, really, of the cheerful and kind girlfriend, when in actuality, she's a conniving monster. And kind of a gigabitch, but I respect her hustle, if I'm being real about it. She improves a lot as the series goes on. I respect her game a lot more as we move on. Because at first I was like, why the fuck are you here? Not really. I just enjoyed her bits of the extent she's willing to go on her horny escapades throughout. as we're going through. She earns my respect in chapter 103 by not committing sexual assault, a thing I was almost certain she would do. And then she also ends up as a caretaker for the group with the other number one girl. A lot of her bits is genuinely just trying to have the front of the refined young lady while only being horny as shit. And canonically has a hell body to live in. They do a body swap chapter and one of the other girls hugs Rentaro in her body and she goes, "What the fuck is this? This is a nightmare. Why is this making me horny to do? What is your life, woman?" She's also canonically really good at battle bots from Mwehehe practice. We do this bit with that she jacks off a lot, by the way. And a lot of people ship her with the other first girl. If you want to move on to the next slide, I personally don't, and we'll get to that.
Is that official art?
This is all official artwork, either from the manga or promotional material or promo for the anime. So Karane was my favorite girl for a very long time. She still might be, but I'm a lot less certain on just because she's gotten a lot less screen time as we've gone on, just as a necessity of the format. She is a genetically engineered tsundere to even the air she breathes, as seen in this panel, where if you huff and puff that much, people might think you like oxygen. So she is our first of the straight men in the group, who goes, "Hold the fuck on. What are we doing? This is insane." As well as part of the group that ends up being called the Gyarus? I don't know how to pronounce this.
It's Gyaru.
Yeah. The first of that sort of group as well. She started off pretty good, but has become an all-timer through just having a lot of solid bits. Her tsundere bit acts as I just kind of end up liking this character type a lot of the time because they have a lot of character, but she becomes they do a lot with it in a way that I think is good. She becomes a de facto group mom, quote unquote, of keeping everybody together and working on it. She has a lot of straight man bits and is also described as a gorilla consistently by being the strongest fighter that we know of in this.
Isn't she in high school?
Yes. Most of them are in high school. We'll get to that. She also just has consistently really good outfits as we go on. I'm not going to make a point of that because a lot of them do just have really good outfits as we go through this. But I think Karane's are a standout. She is also the first girl that Rentaro proposes to. Because fuck it, why not? So that's part of the marriage berserkers bit, by the way. God, I'm stumbling over my words a little bit, fellas. So we're going to go to the next slide now, please, where we talk about the third girl, Shizuka, the library girl. For my personal safety, she is considered to be in my top 5 girlfriends. She's a adorable creature who doesn't speak and uses text-to-speech to communicate. She is God's weakest soldier, trying her best, and has been, for examples of her weakness, blown through the air just kind of naturally, with no assistance. Also noted as being a creature that will die without protection, and equated to a bunny a lot. Has also, funnily enough, made me cry twice, which is insane. I'm not a big crier in media. She has 2 really good chapters that just made me go fuck, man, why am I feeling these emotions at 100 girlfriends? One about her relationship with her mom, and another about her, and the creative process of writing a book, after she's encouraged to try that. Also, we're going to talk about a little aside here. She is the first girl to see Rentaro's hog, and to my knowledge, the only one to do it. So this leads into an interesting thing about the Kama Sutra, actually, so she equates... I need to align myself on how the fuck I'm going to talk about this. So this is not an agenda I support, but it's an agenda that I'm also surprised I haven't seen. There is a shocking amount of Jujutsu Kaisen-ass agenda push for Rentaro as a trans woman. And part of that is this. So when she sees his hog, she references the Kama Sutra, saying specifically, a giraffe is good, but an elephant is better. In the Kama Sutra, they have penis size and vagina size as a thing in there. and elephant is used in like reference to a deep vagina. So either she fucked up the reference, which entirely possible, or we have evidence to work with here. And I'm pushing a fucking agenda right now, so I have evidence to work with. The other pieces are, like, honestly, like, Love God states at the first, in the first chapter, girls know right away when they've met a soulmate, but for guys, it takes some time. This is never once come into being an issue. Rentaro realizes right away every single time, which... another thing is, like, in like episode 1 or 2, he goes, I could start E right now and switch teams to the girl side with girls this cute. And I went, what the, hold on, are we cooking? And then really the only time we ever see Rentaro struggle or be embarrassed is when he is forced to dress up as a woman or in women's clothes, which one could argue as a point for Trans-Taro. It's very touch and go, but I think that it's like worth acknowledging in like a funny way. And like talking about the Kama Sutra is educational, and you should know that, right? So next we're going to move on to girlfriend number 4 after that quick aside about the Kama Sutra, which is Nano, the efficiency girl. She is the one whose only official artwork that I could find, at least on the wiki, is her butt-ass fucking naked. I was really neutral positive on Nano. Because her whole thing is like maximizing efficiency above all else. And that's just like wasn't like, she has like an interesting bits here and there, but like that's like in and of itself isn't the most interesting thing in the world. But around chapter 210, I ended up really liking her after she had like a dedicated chapter, 2 chapters to her. And I was like, you know what? I'm surprised how much I actually like do like and am invested in your character. And she is one of the girls who has had the most growth to like valuing relationships outside of like Rentaro's and so on. She has a very cute relationship with Shizuka about like her like kind of having her sensibilities overwritten by a god's weakest soldier and her cuteness. And most of like what, and as a result, a lot of what I have to say about her is more in relation to her relationship with some of the other later girls like Shizuka. Let's go on to the next slide. Next up we have Kusuri, the drug girl. And our first kind of like, could be a deal breaker for some, I think. So Kusuri's whole thing is that she's a drug maker seeking the immortality drug and is 18 years old, but most of the time looks 8 because of a failed immortality drug experiment. She is the first of our facilitators of the bit category. We can kind of go off the walls by just having her do whatever the fuck we want at this point. So like, I acknowledge that she is one of like the integral pieces to making this like function at like its level, at like the level of like what we're doing in this manga with its insane bits. She starts off with a couple bits that I really fucking hate. Like she has like a diaper and pissing herself bit that I'm just like really not into, but that's like gone like relatively quickly. So like that's good. And like I said, 8 and 18-year-old forms. I will say she has the funniest fucking line in the manga. Or not the manga, sorry, the English dub of the anime. She, like, one of the first conversations with Rentaro is her going, this is a super cool drug I made. It's like meth, and I'm going to quote verbatim. It's like meth, it's super cool chemically, and I am the one who knocks. And then she gets cut off, and I was shit-whipped by this. And it made me like double over laughing because of how caught off guard I was by that shit. As a facilitator of the bit, I like acknowledge her spot as like an important piece, but like, she's one of my like more mid-tier girlfriends, I think. Next slide. We now get to Hahari, the mom. This is our first what the fuck girlfriend and first of the doomed trio. She was a mother at 13 and is currently 29. And is the mother of one of the first girls, the horny girl Hikari. She's obsessed with babies and being a mom, and it might be the most busted of all the girls. She has managed to leave me speechless twice through, frankly, on panel, having her tits sucked, which fully shocked me. She is our next facilitator of the bit, because she has, to my knowledge, infinite money. Oh, yes, sorry, I forgot about this. One of the other, like, Rentaro trans abilities is he takes a mommy crash course from her because of how consistently people have turned into babies. I like her well enough. I think like she has like a lot of like solid bits. I fucking did not like her for a while, but she's grown on me. One of her like bits that like we keep coming back to is putting her in a high school uniform and then referring how she looks like she takes clients. Specifically, her daughter says this. She's another one of the ones where it's like you just have like we throw her at the wall and see what sticks, and like if you do that enough, I'm bound to like her. Moving on to the next one. We now have Karumi, the food girl. She is a bottomless pit of consumption. She is the straight man who can be turned to engaging in the bit, and is also one of the like girls in the tsundere subcategory. I don't really have a lot to say about her, if I'm being honest. She has a food bit, which I'm not like super enthralled with, but like she has her moments, like everybody else. Next slide, please. And we then get to Meido, the maid girl, who works for Hahari. She's one of a all-timer girls for this one for sure. She has a lot of consistently good bits, including her backstory is so tragic and fucked up we can't show it. She has an unyielding devotion to Hahari and has threatened to kill herself on multiple times because she hasn't met expectations. We show her as a dog, at least like semi-frequently. I think it's like supposed to be a visual representation of like her loyalty and need for orders. Her eyes are closed all the time, except when they're not, in which case she has rainbow eyes, for no discernible reason, and she is a perfectionist. That being stated, she just has a lot of solid bits. She has a very sweet relationship with Hikari, actually, as like an older sister type, which I think is nice. Yeah, that's like really all I gotta say on her. She has like relationships with some other girls, but we'll talk about those as they come. Next slide, please. We now get to Iku, the tomboy, I guess. She is the second of the Doom Trio, and the one I refer to as the baseball masochist. I think she is the worst girl, pretty hands down for me. She really only has one bit, which is just hit me on the ass with a baseball bat, and I go, ouch, heart emoji. And honestly, it just like never works for me. I've never found it funny. I don't find any of her chapters particularly good, and unlike a lot of the other early girls, she doesn't get a lot of screen time outside of her bit to sort of like genuinely engage with things in a way that I find particularly interesting. So that's just kind of resulted in her kind of being like, you need more than this, because the bit you have just isn't funny. And even if I did find it funny, she's been around for 170 chapters. It wouldn't be funny at this point if I did find it funny to start with. Arguably, she adds like a unique energy to the group, but like I'm just not interested in it. So next slide. We now get to Me, the beauty girl. She strives for beauty and wants to match Rentaro's soul in beauty, and that's a losing battle, girlfriend. So she has a rivalry with the efficiency girl Nano, because Nano beat her in a beauty contest once when they were in middle school, and she couldn't fucking handle that. And she has a really good relationship with a couple of the other girls that we get to later, like Usa and Mei. She's another one I don't have a lot to say on. A lot of the girls have a speech quirk, and I think hers might be the worst. Because she'll just end a lot of her sentences with naturally, which just is kind of annoying. At least in like the dub. Next slide, please. Mei, the shy girl. Her bit is really substitution jutsu with stuffed toys. As an example, here she lets Rentaro into her room, and then he goes, "This is amazing," and she disappears. It's just referred to as misdirection, but it's substitution jutsu. She covers her eyes with her bangs and I think has had 3 people see her eyes ever, including her parents once, Rentaro once, I think, and I think Me as well, have all seen her face. But otherwise, she's like, I need my bangs. She's another one who gets consistently really solid fits. She's very close with Me. and has like a little knitting circle that's just like a background gag that like not even like a gag, it's just a background detail that's not really brought attention to, which I think is nice. And then she's had another one of the girlfriends with a lot of character growth to get over her like character quirk of shyness to the point of substitution jutsu. Next slide, please. We get to Chio next. Another one of the girls that I would like argue is like pretty mediocre, pretty bad. Her whole thing is that she has like an obsession with orderliness and cries without her glasses, and also like has a little bit of like a thing for mother figures, which is strange. It's like it's just like she has like a dependency and like attachment to them. Not Hahari though, because she's too busted and doesn't fit the vibe, and she just ends up being one of my bottom girls. Because she just doesn't have a lot, and I also think she just has one of the most bland of the character designs, because she just has a uniform of kind of ugly pigtails and glasses. Next slide. That being said, I fucking love Chio's dad. Chio's dad he could be Rentaro. In the spirit of Rentaro, he could do it. Not the physicality, because he's a pathetic loser, but he would achieve the mentality of Rentaro. He's obsessed with his daughter. His wife is dead, is another part of it, but like that's more of a Chio thing than a him thing. He is the strongest champion of Chio and Rentaro. Oh, fuck yeah, I forgot to mention Chio and Rentaro are cousins. That's like, I forgot about that bit. Yeah, he's the strongest champion of that. That's why I said morals are out the window, and we're gonna see why. We just give up. I was like, oh, it doesn't matter about this point. Genuinely though, they do have some sweet moments across the series. He begs Rentaro and Chio to go on a date that ends up being a date plan made after the first one him and his wife went on, which is very cute. He helps with the idol performance, cheering with Rentaro, and then has canonically almost been killed by a chihuahua. But like genuinely, I think one of his best moments is like he's like, "Hey, I like am not someone you can count on, and I'm genuinely sorry about that," to his daughter, which is just like genuinely really sweet and good. Also, to get over his fear of dogs, he has Rentaro dress up as a dog.
Crazy.
He's like, "I fixed it. It's great. I love him. He's great. He has the shine within him to do what Rentaro does." Next slide, please. And now we get on to another all-timer. Natty, my beloved. The American girl. She's actually a freeaboo. She, like, pretends to be American to the point where her introduction is like, I just got back from the land of the free and I'm here to go. And Rentaro calls her, is like, hey, what are you talking about? And she goes, oh, yeah, I took a flight to America, got into the airport, and then came right back before I started teaching here. Her actual name is Nadeshiko Yamato, which is like a bit on like the refined Japanese woman name, but we call her Natty because that is who she truly is. If you couldn't tell, Natty believer. She's a Japanese teacher, by the way, and can't speak any fucking English to save her life. And she became obsessed with America after seeing American film Wicked when she was a child. She has a lot of really good bits. Not understanding fucking English is like actually just like pretty solid. She has a good relationships with a lot of the other teachers. And her most recent bit has been her being a pathetic sad drunk, which like this was in 202 when we had to go back to when we went back to the Bunny Girl chapter, which we'll get to later as well. Genuinely one of my favorites. She just has like a really good she just has really solid bits and is like fun to just like be an insane psychopath around there. Even if her like speaking in the American Western accent gets a little annoying sometimes. To my understanding, in like if you do a direct translation, she is like actually nigh incomprehensible. Next slide, please. Yamame is another one of the girls I just don't have a lot to say about. She's the giant nature girl. Who has an accent. She loves nature, is scared of fire, and like won't hurt living things. Any living thing, that includes germs, she says at one point. I think she's at her best genuinely when she's like doing a deadpan like shit. Like when she finds an alien in the woods and says that can't be an alien. I found it in the mountains. Aliens are from space. she can canonically talk to animals. Her animal companions that like just like ride her, like those are living butterflies, for example. They have some solid bits like posing for May during a photo shoot, and then killing someone or demanding they die. And she and Hahari have also canonically discovered alien life and then saved the world through showing aliens how to kiss. And like deciding that the Earth culture was therefore worth saving. And that might be her best chapter, if I'm being honest. Next slide, please. Momiji is our first weird bit, I would say, which is wild. Because she doesn't play into the stereotypical like harem tropes. She's the massage girl. That's her bit. She loves groping and massaging boobs and butts, and is canonically an addict to it. Because there's a chapter where she's like, yeah, I like busted my hand, and if I grope anything, I could lose all groping ability forever. And that's weird. She has some solid bits. Every once in a while, one of her best one might be the introduction of Usa, who just shows up in a chapter. And then another one of her good bits is just listing everyone's bust size in ascending order, which is out of fucking nowhere. She's a weirdo, but I used to be in the bottom and I'm just like, has like somehow steadily grown the ranks to be like in the mid tier of girlfriends. Next slide, please. We now get to Yaku, the grandma girl, who is 89. She is Kusuri's grandma, looks 8 like Kusuri looks 8, because we're in the pits, man. She's lost most of the time on what's happening, but like we also do like try to do her as an alluring older woman every once in a while. She's not one of my favorites. She has some funny bits here and there. She's a very she gets paired together with Natty a lot because they both have like the refined young woman Japanese like traditionalist upbringing. And I'm like, yeah, that's fine. She's just one of the ones I just don't have a lot to say about either. I'm not huge on her bit, so. Next slide, please. We now get to Kishika, the chivalrous girl, otherwise known as Baby Kink. So, her whole bit is that she's the oldest of many siblings, and if you pat her head, she fucking reverts to baby mode and goes, "Mommy?" And then we go from there. She and Hahari get pointed together a lot because she's the only one who will accept sucking on Hahari's boobs as an offer. And that second chapter with her, she does it on panel, and I was like, what the fuck, bros? Are we cooking? And the answer is it might be burnt. She doesn't have it as much anymore, but like part of like her intro was like having a really fragile ego, and like the second anyone go like her screaming to kill her after people figure out about her thing. Again like the mommy king or the baby king surprisingly like we get a heater with it every once in a while, but it's very rare, and more often than not is a what the fuck ass bit. Next girl, I think. We get to Akko, the cute girl. She is another one of my favorites. Her bit is that she has low blood pressure or anemia or something, and is always low-key as a result of that. She loves cute things and wants to open a store to like share that with people as a result of like Rentaro helping her in one thing. She's kind of ends up at a deadpan, but she honestly is just fucking adorable. There's a chapter where she's like, I want to do a couples channel with Rentaro, and it's just really cute the whole fucking time. It's hard to talk about her beyond just going, she's fucking cute, girl. Next slide, please. And now we gotta stand on fucking business. So people ship Karane and Hikari a lot. They are probably some of the most shipped girlfriends. I think you are stupid and crazy if you do that. The truth is, Akko and Karane is a far better ship. I don't give a fucking shit if the manga acknowledges the ship. Ignore that. I don't give a fuck. Akko and Karane is far better. They have a really cute dynamic to overcome Karane's tsundere-ness. But and they're just better. They have a lot of they have far more consistent, cute, shippable interactions, and I get why you ship the first two girls. My business matters more. My agenda is more important. Karane and Akko is a far better pairing. There are some other acceptable ones that I will tolerate as good ships. Nano and Shizuka is another good example. Mei Mei and Mimimi. I get those ones, but I think this is hands down the best in the manga. Next slide, please. Uto. Uto is the bard girl. And she might have the best intro panel, which is this one of her fishing in a puddle. I'm just that goes insane. And honestly, she's the truest eccentric and artist of the group. She LARPs as a traveling bard throughout the whole time. And her manner of speaking is one could or could not say that I am a bard of the traveling variety. But who would be there to confirm it? She's one of the ones that sucks at first because her bit just isn't that great for me, but has grown exceptionally. She's gotten really solid relationships with other girls. Her and Akko are paired together a lot in particular. I also think her it's a weird thing that I notice a lot. I really like how they draw her hair in the manga. I think it's just a really neat gradient style that they do. Next slide, please. We get to the bunny girl discussion. So Mai is the sister maid girl, who is Mei's sister. She proclaims to be Mei's sister. They are not related at all, and is obsessed with her. She's another one of the maids for Hahari, and is, once I realized that she is a Yuri and Fujoshi enjoy her heart, all the stars aligned. I'm oh, you're not mid. You just haven't been given time to cook. We see most of that is revealed seeing her dreams, or a chapter where she goes, I'm reading some same-sex smut to one of the other girls. I think her sister obsession bit is her weakest. Her best is when she's a fail girl who's really struggling to cope. She has a good relationship with the next girl as well, but so the bunny girl thing is a result of her being a failure and trying to sign up for maid exams and just fucking up and ending up in the bunny girl exams because she signed up for the wrong one. Yeah, and then she's just a solid one too. She's a good relationship with the next girl, so next slide, which is Momoha, the drunk girl.
Holy shit.
I know, right? So she is the final of the Dooms trio. She is a ethics teacher who is a gambling and booze addict. Yes.
What is the Dooms trio?
The Dooms trio are considered the three most fucked of all the girls, where there's just no fucking hope for them to become better people. And that is Hahari, the mom, Iku, the baseball masochist, and Momoha. You raised your hand?
I was gonna ask, can you name their names and their declared
Yes,
titles?
yes. She's addicted to booze and gambling and lives in a tent in the school grounds as a result of this. She is also known to have a horny exchange diary with the horny girl, where they just talk about their dreams.
Oh my god.
Where they fuck Rentaro. I respect her hustle a lot of the time, such as when they're you can do what you want, and she's yeah, no, I huffed his fucking boxers for the love of the game, with no shame in her eyes. So next slide, please. We need to talk about this. I should love Momoha. She should be my favorite girl. And yet, that isn't the case. As God's strongest Kakuri heroic fan, I should adore this woman. She should be my favorite. And yet she isn't. And I've had to spend a lot of time considering why that is. Why isn't this drunk woman as good as this drunk woman? And I think I figured it out after a while. Last night, actually. I was oh, this is it. Kakuri Hiroi is convincingly cool every once in a while. And Momoha is nothing other than pathetic. A royal flush of a loser, one might say. And I think that's why. Because I went I should love the drunk woman. I'm God's strongest drunk woman supporter. And yet, I think that's the only explanation I've been able to come to, but maybe there's more to it. But that's like what the conclusion I've come to, at least so far. And like next slide. We now get on to Rin, the violence girl. Her bit is being a violinist and sadist who, when she saw Resident Evil at the age of like, she was a kid, I don't remember the exact age, she then became obsessed with gore and violence. She is one of the girls who has a catchphrase, and she says molto violento a lot, and I'm like, I don't know, I just think like it's worth noting. And she is truly what Hikari pretends to be, of the like refined young put together woman, who is also just fucked in the head. We give her like this smile a lot, and genuinely I was like, alright, that is pretty cute. Her fucked up little grin. Next slide, please. Sue, the numbers girl. She might be the fucking weirdest one. I'm not gonna lie to you. She got the numbers autism. That's her whole shtick. She's in love with numbers. Like, she's like, no. I love the number 9. Like, as an individual, like, entity with a personality. Is described as going cold to Megan love mode when numbers are introduced. And she ends up having a very cute relationship with Akko, actually. As shown with the pain go away. And the way that Rentaro, she's like, no, I won't date you, Rentaro. You're not a number. At which point he decides that he will become numbers to show her, and they form 10. A thing she could never do on her own. And she's like, this is it. This is the one. She doesn't really end up having a lot of bits, but she's fun to talk about out of context. You're like, what the fuck? Next slide, please. Eira, the Brazilian girl. She's a martial artist practicing capoeira, whose whole bit is that she's also a girl failure. She is unafraid of anything that she can beat in a fight and kick. However, if she can't kick it, that's terrifying. Like a baby? You can't kick a fucking baby. It's a baby. That's the scariest thing in the world. On that like bit we don't really do a lot with, honestly. She's one of the girls who ends up fading to like the background surprisingly a lot. Like, she hasn't really had like any like major stuff outside. She has like one chapter where she and May end up closer because she's like a college student and she's around a bunch of high schoolers and working adults. And that was a very like sweet chapter, but like beyond that, she's also the only one to realize like, oh, these people are all fucked in the head. I like her well enough, but like she just doesn't have a lot of screen time, which is like a problem that like we'll discuss later as well. Next slide, please. Tama, the cat girl. So I thought I would fucking hate this bitch because it's the cat girl. Come on, we can do better than that. Turns out she's awesome. She's a suicidally depressed former office worker who gave up on being a person to become a cat. And then went, I'm out of fucking money. Someone needs to adopt me. And she is the first girl to override Rentaro's own common sense, which is a feat when he has killed common sense canonically. Shockingly, she ends up having a lot of really good bits about like just like we're gonna just like play the cat straight. Like one of the girls goes, "Oh, I bet I could be a cat." Meows this, and she goes, "You haven't cast aside your pride as a human being." And I'm like, that's insane. One of her other really good bits is when she's turned into a baby, and she is told it's a baby's job to cry. Instantly stops because she hates working. She just ends up with a lot of bits that like are good for a while, but like she's fallen off on like her screen time, so we just haven't gotten a lot of her sense. And that's like kind of a consistent thing when you have 33 fucking girls. And she is 25, I believe. So we're almost there, lads. Next slide. Himika, the normal girl. So Himika is a genius pop star who wants to be a busted freak so fucking bad. Like the rest of these busted freaks. She's like, I can't just be a genius pop star. I have to be a weirdo genius pop star. So she purposely takes actions to be called a weirdo and a freak. And because of that, she ends up adoring Uto, who is just a busted freak on like the highest caliber in an impressive way to her. She is my award for the most discordable profile pic face. Because if she's ever called a busted freak, she gets really smug about it. And is like, yeah, I did it. Like an example, like her like trying to be weird. She's like, yeah, I'm gonna sing in a public bathroom because people sing in the bathrooms, but it's weird if you do it in public. And maybe someone will stop me and go, whoa, how weird. And that's how she actually meets Rentaro. Next slide, please. Matsuri, the festival girl. She's obsessed with festivals and works her family's yakisoba stand, and she's also half British, and says, "You daft sod a lot." That's her speech quirk. You said something, Spicer?
Don't worry about it.
Okay. We also dress her in Gothic Lolita for like undiscernible reasons. We really just threw a lot at the wall to see what stuck on this one. She is also like, we'll get to that later in the Rentaro section. Never mind. Yeah, she just like has an obsession with festivals. And like that's like really her strong bit. She's one of the bottom girls just because we don't get a lot of like, her bit is festivals and that's like inherently an event chapter thing. Next one. Usa, the lonely girl. She has an existential fear of loneliness and has the best opener chapter because we're doing like, all right, Rentaro's away. Let's do Rentaro photo trading. And she's just there like she's part of the gang. And when Rentaro gets back, he's like, who the fuck are you? Who's who? She wanted to be in the family. We call this group of girls Rentaro's family, by the way. Before her zing. And she ends up having a very cute relationship with me as a result of like me being like, I need to put effort to like help this girl. Yeah, a lot of she's like honestly outside of like her first like initial chapters, she's faded into the background a lot, which is surprising.
How terrifying.
I know, right? But the background is where there are so many people, and so it's fine. Next slide, please. Meru. Meru's another one of my favorite girls. She's the despair girl. She's a fairy tale book writer who gave into nihilism after being obsessed with fairy tales as a child. One of her bits is hitting the nerd emoji when she talks about fairy tales, which I'm just very charmed by because we never bring attention to it. She has a cute relationship with Shizuka and is the one who like encourages her to start writing. Also, the result of the Monster Energy chapter, which is where she encourages Shizuka to write a book. The chapter that made me cry is the Monster Energy chapter. Honestly, she just like ends up. I enjoy her presence in like a way that I find hard to go on. She just has her whole bit being, I give it into despair, and when this family falls apart, that will be the ultimate despair to make me give up hope forever type of motherfucker. And yeah, she just has a good time. I don't want to keep repeating they're cute, but I think they all are. Next slide, please. Saki, God's second weakest soldier. She's the delinquent girl. She is a proud, intentional super senior who believes and lives by the seniority rules. If you're older than her, she'll lick your fucking boots to earn your approval. If you're younger than her, you better listen to her. Tragically, her whole life is a joke as they make a specific note of her birthday being April 1st at 11:59:59. Yeah, her jacket also roughly does translate to throughout heaven and earth, this senior is the honored one. Which fucking, I was like, what? Gojo reference? What the fuck? Yeah, she's like another one of the ones, we just haven't gotten a lot of her outside of her intro chapter, so I don't have a ton to say about her. Next slide, please. Nemu. Nemu is the sleepy girl, and surprisingly ended up a goated one. Adorable. She's a cobbler who's tired because she stays up all night to cobble shoes, And also she believes that little elves finish the shoes for her when she falls asleep. In actuality, she's just a sleepwalker who has a personality switch when she's asleep and becomes like much brighter and cheerier because that's what she like dreams of being. And I'm like, oh my god, that's so cute. She and Violence Girl end up having a really sweet friendship as well. I ended up really liking her because she's like, I can't just confess my love to Rentaro during her Zing chapter. That would be there's no way. But I will sincerely make a pair of shoes for him to convey my adoration for who he is. And I'm like, that's so fucking cute. I think I do like it when she looks like she's about to fucking die. Next slide, please. Hasu, the detective girl. She is one of the most recent girlfriends. She's a detective girl who operates via smell and is pretty stupid, honestly. But she became a detective because it meant people that would praise her and not call her stupid. So she is that. She's also got some dog theming to her as a result, and is genuinely a very cute design and a smell fetish. We gotta mention it because it's important. Yeah, she's had a couple I've solved the mystery through smelling chapters, and those are nice. Nice little one-offs. Next slide, please. We now get to the most recent girlfriend, Morikita, the rules girl. Lived by a strict adherence to moral guidance at her core values, and turns out she's now turned on by breaking the rules after she starts dating Rentaro. She's had 2 chapters. I don't have a lot to say about her. People she a freak, because her first kiss is wrapping her legs around Rentaro. That's really all I gotta say about her. We just don't have a lot with her yet. And that's all the girls. So next slide, please. Except Venom Snake.
That's not Venom Snake. That's
the man who sold the world.
I'm just saying that's Big Boss.
If I played Metal Gear Solid, I would give a shit about that difference.
Yeah.
But they're the same guy, so
I
I
tell the
don't
difference because there's not a giant metal spike coming out of his head.
I don't care though, so it's fine. You can't even say his name, so I don't care.
Let him speak.
Let me speak
Sorry,
my
I added
truth.
an emoji.
So we have the Venom Snake question now to discuss with this. And we must now ask the question, next slide. Who can be Rentaro? Can anyone be Rentaro? Next slide. No. Next slide. Can anyone then be 1/10 of Rentaro is the question we have to ask. Next slide. And that's where we get to a little more complicated stuff. We have to talk about who is Rentaro, our love hero. Rentaro Aijo is the true best character in 100 Girlfriends. The question is not which girl would you date. The question is, would you date Rentaro? And it's yes. Because he's a king and he slays in a skirt. He is maybe the only example. No, he's one of 2 examples of a force of nature protagonist that I can think of. He's an unyielding, unrelenting force of love and adoration. The only thing I have to compare him to as far as a force of nature protagonist is Kratos from the original God of War franchise. As a force of nature protagonist. His only known fear is roller coasters. Advanced roller coasters. At one point in the manga, he's like, I need to get stronger. I must do the single hardest job of anyone in the world. Become the assistant of our artist. And so he does, and that's how he wins over Momiji. He's also a pure king. And steadfastly, he escapes his own ego in order to rid himself from being untoward to one of his girlfriends. So next slide, please. So now that we have an idea of who Rentaro is, we have to ask, what does one need to assume the role of Rentaro? And I think the optional thing to get out of the way first is an innocuous physical characteristic for the girls to find sexy. In his case, bushy eyebrows. And another overriding criteria is he has to vibe right. If you don't vibe right as someone who could be Rentaro, then you can't be Rentaro. It's just how it works. It's important to acknowledge that when I say that you vibe right, and when you be Rentaro, you are assuming the emotional, not necessarily the physical aspects of Rentaro in his role. Because not everyone is invincible like Rentaro is on his wiki page, which I ripped from this. Rentaro can literally do anything for love, including but not limited to breaking the fourth wall, moving quickly, changing body shape, cloning himself, catching meteorites, completing citywide construction that would have taken all day and night in just 1 hour at most, snapping his neck to rotate 180 degrees, defying gods, and it is best to stop here since there is no end to the writing. One of his feats is defeating the god of infinity, meaning that he could defeat Gojo, canonically. So, the other things that you need are an indomitable human spirit, which I think is like pretty like straightforward. He loves, cares, and is fully equipped and capable to handle all 100 of these girls, and I don't doubt that for a fucking second. And then genuine love and commitment to the girls, you can't fake your love. And that's kind of like a necessity of this as a whole, but I think it's important to like work that in. And then you cannot pick a favorite girl. It needs to be equivalent love for them all. Otherwise, it's not fair to the others. And that is important to being Rentaro. Next slide, please. Here's some examples that we need to talk about of Rentaro's kingship. Because I think that these are important examples to understanding what one needs to do to occupy the role of Rentaro. So he decides he can't hide the girls from dating one another. They all have to know about each other because that would be unfair to them otherwise. He decides not to tell the girls about the consequences of not dating him, so they have the choice to be with him and don't feel obligated to. The consequences being they die fucking horribly. He genuinely believes you have to put a needle in your eye if you break a pinky promise. And is the first to go with it every time. Has recorded at least 3 books for Shizuka to speak with her text-to-speech device, and has also written at least 4 within here. He has done a Mission Impossible to convince Hikari's mom that he loves her. Has become Nozawa Sensei's assistant in order to grow stronger as a human being. And has told many of the girls, I like to specify Natty here, but he's told this to a lot of the girls. It's important and inspiring to be exactly who you want to be without reservation and judgment, so that you can like live a life that you find fulfilling, which is true kingship. He also threatens to atomize Shueisha and the writer Nakamura if they do not let all the girls be happy in the end. And he has defeated common sense in order to allow for the 100 Girlfriends anime to be made. Next slide, please. So who could be Rentaro? These are some of the examples that we've spoken of over time, but I think most have been struck down. Yuji and Choso, JJK, struck, obviously. We don't know how they'd be in romantic relationships. This Hayasaka and Shirogane, Love is War, also couldn't do it. Hayasaka, she struggles with one kind of needy girl. 9 of them, potentially? She can't do it. Shirogane, I think he's a bust enough freak to have potential to do it. However, the hurdle would be asking the girls out, a noted problem in his own series, so he has to be struck from the list. Chainsaw Man, Dennis, are you insane? That was an insane fucking, could Dennis do it? But fuck, no. Lawrence put out Nightwing, insane. That man has exclusively messy relationships. He couldn't do it. Lloyd Forger from Spy Family is maybe the most capable of doing it. However, I think he can't do it. And I've been told that my reasoning is unfair, but I've come to the conclusion he is disqualified on the basis that he would never decide that he needs to tell the girls about each other. He would keep them a secret. He's a spy. He's a liar. It's all in his character. And I just don't... I've been told that that's an unfair sentiment. However, I think that Rentaro's decision to tell them about each other means that it's a character decision to do that should be considered. Which is why I disqualified Lloyd Forger. Lawrence has also stated Superman. I disagree on Superman. He just doesn't vibe right. And I think Spicer and I had this discussion the other day. Superman is monogamous in a way that just doesn't vibe with this. Explicitly monogamous in a way that just he just doesn't vibe right is the main thing. Next slide, please. 100 Girlfriends has made me question good writing. So, obviously, good writing is anything that works. Shut up. I don't care. We have issues. Things that are generally considered to be good writing are characters struggling, an overarching conflict, stakes, like set cast that we can like grow attached to and love. 100 Girlfriends, our protagonists never struggle. It's like maybe a chapter where Rentaro's like, how am I going to get this girl to accept my love confession? There isn't really any overarching conflict. Like, allegedly, the girls will die, but like, that's not a problem, I'm going to be honest. That's the stakes. The conflict would be like, will they date Rentaro? And the answer is yes. The best way I can put it is the faith an 8-year-old boy in Mexico City has in Goku, I have in Rentaro. It is unyielding and unchanging that I fully believe that he is locked in and capable at all times. But yeah, we don't really have any we never really struggle. There's not really an overarching conflict. The closest we got was when Hahari was going to be the mom girl was going to be the villain, and her Hikari was going to have a sister also be a girlfriend. But then the writers went, we cooked. Make that mom a girlfriend, baby. And they did it. There are stakes, but not really. Like I went over with, like, they'll die. Sure. But, like, they're not gonna, like, that doesn't really matter. Our cast is massive, and it keeps getting fucking bigger. We're 1/3 of the way there. This is gonna be One Piece levels of length. And because we're at 215 right now. 33 girlfriends. Are we getting like chapter 700 before shit goes down? Before like we're all away and then doing wrap up after that? So next slide, please. We have to reach critical mass at some fucking point with this cast. Arguably, we've already made it, but like it'll be a slow death, not a quick one. It'll be a dog walking on 4 broken legs before that happens. We've really hit a stride, though. We have a formula that really works, which we went over in like the general structure of chapters and how they work at the beginning. But we have to ask, how long until there are too many girlfriends to handle? Because arguably, we're already there. With stuff like Iku doesn't get a lot of screen time. She hasn't really had any major like thing in over 100 chapters. So the question becomes, at what point are we reaching critical mass, or have we reached already? I don't fucking know. I'm here for the train wreck, though. It's gonna be amazing. We've already had a few different eras of 100 Girlfriends, so I think if like we end up reaching a critical mass at some point, we're gonna like have to do another shift. So we have the pre-Kusari and Hahari era, where we're doing pretty like relatively grounded stuff, like oh, we need to do a game to determine who's going to be the first kiss, and then like hide that in a convoluted way, and then we get fucking kiss zombies instantly afterwards. We then have the post-Kusari and Hahari era, where we get into, we can do whatever the fuck we want, like Hahari takes over the world with her hair, and then it doesn't fucking matter. And then we're in what I would consider the vignettes era, where a lot of the like intermittent chapters where we're doing cute little dates and hangouts, we're doing like a page and a half of like 2 or 3 girls hanging out with each other or with Rentaro. And I think like if we end up going the full fucking distance to 100, which I think we will at this point, to be frank, then I think we're gonna need to necessitate another shift in like how we're doing things, or introduce girls slower than 1 every 9 or so chapters. Next slide, please. So I also decided that I would do a prediction of everyone's favorites should they ever read 100 Girlfriends. Sorry, Jacob, I didn't think I forgot. Yeah, that's fair. I take it. So, David, I predicted Himika. The simple fact is, she has the most Discord profile pickable face. And that seems to be a pretty good measurement for David's enjoyment of a character. I predicted Uto could be one. Uto's a fucking off-kilter weirdo, and I think that would really hit or really fucking miss for you.
Which one's she?
That's the Bard girl.
Okay.
Maybe you would like, I don't know why, I felt like the Soul Reed, you might like the Food girl, actually, as well. But, like, that's a hard call. Lawrence, I think he would like the Brazilian girl, Era, because she's one of the most normal. Spicer, you were the hardest one to make a prediction for, honestly. We don't really have a goth girl, so that kind of limited my options. So my bet would be like, Shizuka in the sense that she's a cute girl who also grows a lot. And then, failing that, I could see you being a Meru, the despair girl, or Momoha, the drunk girl enjoyer. If I had to choose for Jacob, Soul Reed, maybe Yamame, the nature girl. I think like as like a guy who frequently like has like strange hobbies and hiking and gardening, that would like work well for you. Strange, indeed.
How's that BPC you're working on?
Oh, it's not gonna fucking work.
Yo!
Down the drain.
Let's go. Next slide, please. So I think we now need to ask the question: does 100 Girlfriends have anything to say? And the answer I've come to is maybe. I think like genuinely, if you want to pick out a main theme, it would be authenticity to yourself is like an important like consistent idea. But beyond that, you have to like get into a lot of like the girl specific stuff to like look for themes. But I think authenticity is a general one, and I think like a cope, but like a boring answer would be like love in general and how it like improves yourself, those you care about, your environment, and the world in general. But like that's fucking boring. So I think like authenticity is like the theme I would say is the most important to it. But like overall, like it's a fucking gag comedy manga. Emphasis romantic comedy manga. Emphasis on fucking gag. I don't think it has a lot to say. As far as like, I don't think they're making any like attempts at making a larger point. I think like this is just like if you want to read into it. Next slide, please. Now we have to get to the question. Next slide. Does 100 Girlfriends like women? Next slide, please. Yes, with an asterisk. So I think it does like women as a whole. However, there, especially early on, with some weird one-off ick factors that I would consider to be like, ooh, that vibe's wrong. But it ends up like explicitly rejecting a lot of those talking points. In particular, like the ick factors are a lot about like how Rentaro talks and feels like he has to like be the one to protect his girlfriends, as an example. That just kind of mean like my man, and feeling like kind of weird. We get some like weirdly conservative things here and there, usually around the girl's chastity specifically. Like Hahari hasn't kissed anyone until she meets Rentaro, despite having a daughter through IVF. With like the love of her life, Momoha being a virgin is pointed out a lot of like a woman like addicted to vice. It's like insane that like she would be. It's like little things like that where it's like we are doing a weirdly conservative thing with like the women in particular. That like I think overall it does like women, but like I think if someone said like the vibes are a little weird, I get that as well. And ultimately, the conclusion I've come to is I do call them all busted freaks constantly. It's the greatest like conclusion I can come to about them. And next slide, please. Do we have any questions for the 100 Girlfriends presentation?
You're gonna hate me, but I don't think I do.
Oh my goodness gracious.
You did a good job.
Thank you. It went on so much longer than I thought.
You had to go over 33 girls.
I did have to go over 33 girls. Look on the right side, 67 more to go.
Hey!
Spicer.
Do you think when we get to the next 33 girlfriends, you will reiterate?
We need a part 2 and 3.
We might. I think in fucking 5 years when we get...
When you're 30, yeah, like...
in 5 years when I'm 29 and we get girlfriend 67, I will go and do this again.
Is this a weekly series?
How old is Rentaro?
Rentaro is 16.
Crazy.
16, okay.
He is 16. He has girlfriends ranging from 13, which is his cousin at the youngest, to 89, which is Yaku at the oldest. But outside of Yaku, I think the oldest is Hahari at 29.
So this is a weekly series?
Yes, this is a weekly series.
Damn.
So you had said that there is like a fan theory and like some textual evidence to like Rentaro being trans in some kind of way.
So this is my cook, I'll say. This is not a thing I've seen. I was just like, there's an agenda Kaisen ass post that I can make about this. Is like the thing.
Okay. My question is, I asked you some private, but do you think, especially like with its like more conservative views and it's like orbiting like around the girls, that we are going to get a weirdo girl on like a gender front beyond
Yes.
beyond just a tomboy girl.
Yes, I fully believe we will get like wild, like because like I think like I don't think like it has like conservative leanings in general. I think it's just like we have like that like weird little tinge of it because it's a Japanese series, and they just tend to be more socially conservative than us.
Yeah.
About like chastity specifically, but like I think we get like a cross-dressing girl or like one that like we call like a real they them ass girl at some point. And like we'll refer to them as the girl, but like that's like the format of the series. But yeah, like there are like some girls like I'm surprised we haven't gotten yet. Like I'm surprised we haven't gotten a gamer girl at all. I think at some point, since gods have been shown to be a thing, I will not be shocked if we get a god or alien girlfriend at any point in this. It's just 6 chapters away at any given point.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
I'm gonna clap. Is it clap time?
If there are no more questions,
Are there any more slides?
Do they play baseball when baseball girl shows up?
they do play baseball. Yes, they do play baseball against a Jurassic Park themed team.
What the fuck?
Bark.
No, well, if you're a Hasu enjoyer, maybe. Yeah, I think that would be it then. Oh, yeah.
Does the sadist girl and the masochist girl ever like team up?
So they do mainly as like a background, like 1 or 2 panel gag where like it'll just be baseball girl going, "Hit me on the ass," and then other girl hitting her with a baseball bat going molto violento, and I'm like, all right, cool. It's like not interesting to me. I think it's more interesting when sadist girl is like, "Yo, me and the sleepy girl are gonna go watch Resident Evil with Hikari and Karane, and while they kiss." This is like a manga ripe for like shipping between like the girls. I think it like encourages it to like some degree as well. But yeah, I think that would be it for everybody unless there are any more questions. No more questions? Thank you for coming to your first day of class, everybody. I expect a book report in 2 weeks.
No. Thank you.
Of course. Thank you, everybody.